Dignity is indivisible. Without dignity, our lives are only blinks of duration. But if we manage to live a good life well, we create something more. We write a subscript to our mortality. We make our lives tiny diamonds in the cosmic sands. Ronald Dworkin. To believe in human rights is to believe in human beings. It is to strive for everything we need to live with the possibility of flourishing in the world. It requires thoughtful empathy, an appreciation of our species as creatures of body and mind, of instinct, emotion, faith, logic, and reason. Individuals, but also social beings. Humans yearn for autonomy, but also belonging and respect. These twin aspirations combine in the concept of dignity. This recognises that every human life matters, and that as far as possible, each of us should have agency in the way we live. Human rights provide the poetry of both cries for freedom and pleas for protection. When the sacred and secular collide, each seeks this special higher ground, as do all competing interests in battles for liberty, equality, recognition, and resources at home and abroad. The world is in turmoil, ravaged by wars, real and imagined, proxy and phony. It is riven by oppression, inequality, and impending climate catastrophe. What many had come to rely on as the post-1945 settlement for securing greater justice, equality and peace is now once more in flux. This is especially, if not uniquely so, in the Middle East and in Europe, where 2 world wars and then the Cold War once began. However, despite all sorts of progressive advancement, global population growth and technology and weapons proliferation mean an ever greater interconnection that makes conflict anywhere perilous for people everywhere. As a currency of values, human rights are constantly called upon and yet still reviled. Invocation and attack may come from the same voices at different times. There are skeptics across the political spectrum. They question whether we need any higher laws, let alone fundamental rights, that the powerful, whether via might, privilege, or numbers, may neither bestow nor withdraw. They contest the basis of these principles, their content, limits, application, and enforcement. Is it possible to agree, or at least establish the ground rules of reasonable disagreement, so that human rights might survive and offer comfort and a compass for the future? I believe so. This book is my contribution to that endeavour. Let's conduct a thought experiment. A person believes themselves to be totally alone on a new continent or planet. What good would calling for their rights do for them? Struggling in a state of isolation, each day would no doubt be extremely hard, finding water, food and shelter, fending off other creatures and the demons of a lonely mind. If they believe in a higher power, they could plead for divine assistance. But that isn't a demand for rights. Let's say there are 2 people. They are in cooperation, conflict, or some combination of the two. They discuss and debate the wisdom of particular courses of action, even how fairly they treat each other. These interpersonal disputes might be resolved by partnership and agreement, or by domination. Perhaps one would emerge as the leader over the other. Still, even this kind of discourse wouldn't become the basis for what we understand as human rights. Our 2 must become at least 3, and realistically a fair many more, before we see those with less power making claims based on something more than a transactional contract with the others. They rely on a developing idea of society and the collective, as well as the individual interests of everyone in it.